Hello everyone, welcome back to another RWS Customs. It's me, Chaotix, bringing you back another episode of Volume 2. And this episode we're going to be looking at a Premier Express engine from the London Northeastern Railway, Spencer. Now from first glance you can already tell that this guy, compared to other stuff, has had a very strange build. And you wouldn't be wrong. I had only just perfected my boiler crafting with the cardboard, and an A4 streamlining is very distinct. I don't know what pushed me so hard to make him now, but I did. Well, technically, last year, I believe I made him, or finished him. But, yeah. It was a pain at some time, but I got the shape right after several attempts. As you can see, it's not 100% sealed off, but it works and it holds true. You can get a good glimpse at the valve gear. Now, first things first, let's discuss livery. Why isn't he all silver? Why are his wheels exposed, etc., etc.? First thing, as I said, I haven't really built a streamlined A4 before this point. So, this was he's basically a prototype for what will become a few more A4s. And it's a good first start, despite it. His valances were there to cover up the, parts that expose what goes underneath the sheets. So, yeah, that's a thing. However, in terms of livery, I chose to give him the red lining as a combination between a livery that was seen on the Silver Jubilee A4s, and I believe Golden Eagle wore the early A4s were like a gray. I mean, not a gray, but whitish silver-esque livery. And there's this one A4, one or a few, which wore Eleanor Apple Green, and they had a red lining on their valances. I decided to take that and push it onto Spencer to add some variety, because the most Spencer has is just silver. They dropped his gold buffers, so he's just, plain silver ones, so it made sense. 10 cents. That's how much this costs. Anyway. In terms of craft, his tender was originally a corridor tender attempt for Gordon. It didn't pan out well, and I just took the side sheets off, put the new side sheets on, and finished it, except with Spencer mine this time. And it does work. And then, of course, you can see his valve gear. His wheels are a different tone from... His driving wheels are a different tone from his leading pony truck, but that works. You can see his firebox, safety valve. The safety valve! The insane ramblings of a safety valve. And of course, his cab. Something worth of note is that the valances of A4s, or the shape where valances would normally be attached to at the end, it kind of goes into the cab. So this is somewhat accurate. Somewhat. And of course, here you can see the corridor connection, the little window, which I was surprised to find out that corridor tenders had. In the past, on models like, Gordon, Spencer, back when they were upscaled, I didn't know this, and I had made them with blank tenders and just a corridor in it. But over time, I finally found out, and I just started putting that in on any attempt, no matter how absurd those attempts started to look. Now that that's all out of the way, and I've bored you half to death, let's take a look at some other models for size comparisons, etc. And we'll be starting this, not with Gordon, who's in the background having a bad day. I'm sorry, Gordon. We'll be starting this with another Gresley design. Specifically, a mixed traffic engine design. That's Jock right there, if you couldn't tell. Now, I don't know if I've went in depth in this before, but I'll do it again. In my universe, the narrow gauge, miniature gauge engines, and the mountain engines are all standard gauge. It's basically all one railway. Like in the past, they would have been separate railways, but I've had it to where they had a Big Four-esque grouping, including Soder, Mainland, etc., etc. They were all grouped And so now those railways were part of the NWR, and all those engines are all standard gauge classes. And Jock has been turned into a V2 because he's a 262 tender engine. The V2 is a 262 tender engine. It just makes sense. But you can see the differences. Also, Jock hasn't gotten his front end upgrade yet, but it's in the works. It'll be a while, but it'll be in the works. Now let's scooch him away into the background. He goes. Carry on, my wayward son. Anyway, next up we'll be looking at a Boyd design. Funnily enough, Boyd apparently was an apprentice at the LNER. I believe so, or at least he worked under Gresley at some point before going to the Southern Railway. But here's Rebecca, but as a rebuild. This is a long story, but I'll tell you in her video what happened. But you can see obvious differences in not only in cab designs, but also just in general, you know, frameage. Frameage? I don't know. Also, she has nameplates. Logic. And before we get to the last one, we'll show a tank engine, specifically an LMS engine. There's Arthur. Here, these two are together. I'm not the only one who's made models of them like this. Well, not specifically like this, but made models of them together. I'm sure those of you who are watching this right now probably know who else did such models of these two characters. But here they are, as accurate as can be to their basis. I've given Arthur glasses because I think he'd need glasses. He'd probably need glasses at some point. Not because how book smart he is, but just because, like, I think after some of the accidents he's had in the TV series, he'd need them. But anyway, this isn't about Arthur at the moment, so I'm sorry, bud, but you're gonna have to get the boot. And now, ignore my massive sausage arm reaching over. We're going to show him next to the prototype of the genesis of his entire class, Gordon. Or Gordon Mark II, because as I said, this is a new build Gordon, not the old one. Old one's dead. Sorry. It'll be explained again in future. But yeah, I've given Spencer black buffers, which is probably something I should rectify, but it works, even though you can't see them. And Gordon has silver buffers, but this is actually it's iconic in a way. I mean, in the main line, you've seen Flying Scotsman in another one of the A4s, I believe 60009. You'll have to correct me on that in future, whoever actually bothers to comment, but yeah. Here they are together. Something I don't understand is why no A4 had a tender like this. That's something I will talk about more, but like, the Great Northern Railway tenders on the A class looked good. I just don't understand why it didn't pop up on these lads. Like, maybe one day one of them would be out shopped with it. I don't know. But, yeah, that's another ramble for another day. And that'll be about it for Gordon. Goodbye. Hello. And with that, we are done with this video. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment if you feel like it, and thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this. You really didn't have to, but thank you for doing it anyway. I will see you on the next one, where we cover one of the engines featured in this video. See you!